Welcome in. This is the Old Guard Podcast, the only podcast hosted by two OGs preserving the sanctity of geek culture. It's your host, Rowls, and I was just coming in to do a quick review of this movie I saw this week. And it was sandwiched in between this little movie by this guy, Christopher Nolan, movie called The Odyssey. And then there's another movie that's coming out, a little small film called Spider-Man Brand New Day. And Motor City premiered last week on the 24th. By the time you're hearing this podcast, it has probably gone out of the theaters because the theaters want to make room for the big blockbusters. The big popcorn movies, they're going to sell a lot of popcorn and a lot of drinks. Now, the reason I jumped to watch Motor City, one, just wanted to hang with a good homie of mine, BDT Lotto 5, friend of the podcast. And we started watching the film and just really blown away by the soundtrack. It had a great opening. And then 20 minutes in, you realize, hey, wait a minute. I haven't heard a line of dialogue. And then it's like, okay, well, that's interesting. That's an interesting choice. Let's see how far this goes. Well, before I jump into that, I want to give a quick description of what Motor City is all about, because you're probably not going to hear about it until it goes on digital. I really want you guys to really take a second to check this out, because it was a really original movie, in my opinion. But here's the lowdown on Motor City. Set in the 1970s Detroit, it follows a working class romantic that's played by Alan Ritchson, who is framed by a ruthless gangster, played by Ben Foster, after falling for his girlfriend. Her name was Sophia, but she was played by Shailene Woodley. After years in prison, he returns with one mission: revenge. So yes, very simple plot. We've seen this plot before in so many movies. John Wick, shot his dog. Everybody has hell to pay. We've seen this over and over again. But what made this movie really original was the choice to not use dialogue and let music carry the film. And I thought that was a really cool choice, just because Detroit is one of the birthplaces of soul music for sure. The vibe felt right for this movie. Now, this movie is an action movie, and I don't want to give too much away. This is going to be a really quick review. But I really thought the choice of not using dialogue and let music carry the tone and the mood of the film was just a really nice choice. And I haven't seen that before out of the movies that I've seen. I think Alan Ritchson played a really good role playing the working class romantic is what they're saying here. But basically, he was this vet that fought in the Vietnam War. And he probably got into some trouble when he got back, and he was on parole. And basically, the movie kind of catches him in a place where he's gotten out of his parole. He has met Sophia, and he's wanting to propose to her. Well, the moment he wants to propose to her, a lot of stuff starts going down. Hence, the plot thickens, of course. And this is where the revenge thriller comes into play. I'm not going to go in through all the details, but I loved the casting and the choice of actors here. Let me pull this up really fast. One of the cast members was Lionel Boyce. I am binging The Bear right now, and he plays Marcus Brooks on The Bear. And he played this character called Youngblood. Now, again, I'm reading these characters' names, but you really don't hear their names in this movie because there is not a line of dialogue spoken except for Sophia, Shailene Woodley's character. She says a couple of lines of dialogue, and then there's a couple of lines of dialogue at the end. Now, one would think watching a movie like this, an action movie, you need some dialogue to get you from scene to scene. But they really did a good job of letting music and what you're seeing on screen tell the story. One thing I liked about it is, action movies are pretty basic, right? And especially a revenge thriller. So choosing not to have dialogue in it and just having the music play, it just really created a cool vibe. And this is a movie that will probably come and go in the theaters, but I really do have a special place in my heart for this movie, just for its originality and the music choices. I mean, it really felt like a pulp crime thriller. They did a really good job of setting the 70s tone, down to the clothes and the hairstyles and all that stuff. Ben Foster was unrecognizable. I didn't recognize that was Ben Foster as a gangster. He played, I would say, pretty much a pimp, like a drug dealer pimp kind of guy. That was funny to see, even down to what they call the crack spoon. He had that crack spoon nail, which had me laughing. Just to take a step back, I mean, this movie really did well. Like I feel like the only criticism I have for this movie is a choice to place it between The Odyssey and Spider-Man. It was just a tough decision. I don't know what factored in the decision to place it during this time, because it only spent a week in theaters. I live in Nashville, so I don't know, maybe in other theaters in other major markets, maybe the movie is staying, but with The Odyssey doing the numbers that it's doing, and then Spider-Man is about to go bananas as of tonight, I don't think there was any room for this movie. And it's just a shame because they debuted this movie at the Venice Film Festival, and it had a critic score of 77. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's around, let's see, it's 61, which is more than half from the critics, and 65 from the audience. Now, mind you, this movie hasn't been out, but maybe less than a week, and it's already out. So this is probably the score you're going to get because it just hasn't been in the theaters. Look, this movie was just fun. It was just mindless exploitation, but it was done really well. Yes, you can say the script was gimmicky, but I just really appreciate the swing for the fence here. Like, it was just done in a really nice way. It was definitely memorable. A lot of action movies I watch are not memorable. I remember seeing them, but either I remember them being really good or really bad. This one was more on the good side. Is it better than like a John Wick? Of course not. John Wick probably had a bigger budget, and it's become this big franchise and has really like hit pop culture in a big way. But I feel like this movie should become a cult classic to me. I mean, I'm using classic as a word. I'll say maybe a cult favorite. I just love the aesthetic, the Detroit, the 70s Detroit crime aesthetic. I loved how the soundtrack was narrating all of the scenes. Scenes made me laugh. Scenes made me feel a certain way. And you rooted for Alan Ritchson. I love him as Reacher. I have watched every season of Reacher, and it's just been satisfying. He really bodies that role. In this movie, it's not a departure from Reacher, but it's different. It's definitely different. Some people will watch this and go, what are you talking about, Rowls? This is silly. But again, I'm not saying it's Pulp Fiction. but I will say it's in that category. And I just wanted to get a review out because I feel like it needed to be spoken about. There was another movie that came out with Mila Jovovich called The Protector. It came out earlier this year, and I mean, it came and went. And it was maybe around March, but this movie is kind of falling into that category where I really enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised. It was really cool to, hang with my friend BDT Lotto 5. We really had a good time watching the film. I feel like the cast did a good job. The crew that Miller had in the movie, 2 soldiers in his unit that he was friends with, and they helped him on this revenge mission. Everything felt stylish and intentional. I love the color correction in it. Anyway, I didn't want to take up y'all's time. The runtime is under 2 hours. It's about like an hour and 40 minutes. Really short movie. And I'm assuming it's shorter because they didn't have dialogue, but I was thoroughly entertained throughout. But anyway, I just wanted to just give a quick review before Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out. And best believe Wally and Rowls will definitely be doing a review on Spider-Man, but I definitely wanted to give this film its flowers. Again, anything that Alan Ritchson is in, I'm going to give it a watch. I really like the guy. I can't wait for Reacher. And they're doing a spinoff called Neegly on Amazon Prime. So I'm looking out for that. But I really like what he did here. If you get a chance, check it out. I'll put a trailer in the episode notes. Just look out for it when it comes out on digital. It's easily a worthy watch, like a matinee watch. Look, I'm an action person, and I like all the original kind of movies. It felt like an action art movie. And if you watch it, you'll get what I'm saying in terms of the color correction, the choice of no dialogue, and all of this. They really did a good job. I really didn't have any complaints other than just the timing of when they released it in the theaters. That's the only criticism I have. My rating out of 5, I'm giving it a 4.5. And that's a review from your man Rowls. But anyway, I'm not going to hold you. Thank you for rocking with us. We're on oldguardpodcast.com. We're available on all the podcast platforms. And just follow and subscribe if you like. Thank you for rocking with us. Peace.